This meeting will be called to order, please. If you, as you are willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Try to get my husband.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming to this special 6 o'clock edition of our regular board meeting. The first item on the agenda, of course, is our public comment period, and we do have a couple of folks who have asked us to address the board. I'd ask each to please come down to the microphone that's closest to you, identify yourself by name and town, and then deliver your comments to the board, please. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tamara Steinhauer from South Berwick. I just had my question is about the National School Board Association and the relationship, the Maine School Board Association and you. So I had an interesting chat with Stephen Bailey today because I was curious about all the dues that are paid, so I got those figures. 12 states have withdrawn membership from the National School Board Association, and 26 others have distanced themselves. Where does this school board stand?
Well, so we're a member of the Maine School Board Association. There's been no talk of the Maine School Board Association, to my knowledge, taking any action with regard to its association with the National School Board Association. So status quo, I guess, is the answer.
But there actually is, according to Stephen Bailey, he's the executive director, and he said they are in talks about what to do because they don't support what happened with the NSBA. And I know there are regional groups. You're part of a regional group, correct?
York County, correct.
Yes.
So none of you have had any discussions with the other people and the other school boards in this group?
Not to date, no.
I
So-
spoke to Mr. Bailey today, and really his stance was that he really believes that Maine's a local control state.
Yes,
You know,
Yep.
that was really how he felt.
that's what he said.
And really did not feel, you know, that we were very different than a lot of states when it comes to that. And so that he felt like that people had the ability at the local level, at the state level, to make the decisions that were best for each
Yeah.
district or the state. And so I know you had a conversation with him as well.
Yeah. I just feel like silence is consent. And I think if you, as our little local school board, doesn't make your feelings known to the Maine School Board so that they can make their feelings known to the National School Board, I think you're just endorsing what the National School Board did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I don't know how you guys breathe in these things. Jeez, I'm gonna pass out. Okay. I was curious what your definition for consent was for the vaccine. Do you have a current definition?
The
'Cause-
board doesn't have a definition.
Okay, well, I know it differs school to school. In some schools, it's just showing up to school and it's considered consent. It's considered consent for vaccination.
I'm not, what are you referring to?
Vaccinations,
In which vaccination in particular?
the one that you are going to be giving.
Yeah, that is an optional vaccination that parents
Right.
would need to sign up to be
Right,
able to have.
that's
this.
my question.
So
So
this, it is not something that all students get. and
Right, I
people
didn't say
opt out
that.
of.
I didn't say that, but it's just I was curious about consent for the parents and the children. How do you know that they want the vaccine? What is your definition?
They sign
Because
the
it
child up
differs
for it.
school to school. I called MSAD 60 and they said the parent needs to physically be there for the vaccination. What are you guys doing what are you doing for your vaccination clinics? With it?
Parents are welcome to be there, absolutely.
Okay, but you're not requiring them.
No, that is not a requirement.
Oh, God, how do you breathe in these things? All right, well, cool, we can move on. Does the OSHA ruling today that they're suspending the enforcement of Joe Biden's mandate after the Fifth Circuit said it was unconstitutional? Because I saw it here on your agenda today. Does that have any impact on your continued effort to persuade children to get the vaccine?
So actually, the superintendent is going to cover that topic specifically in his update in a little bit, if you be okay?
For
with
sure.
that?
Oh, no,
Okay.
that's the reason I brought it up. I
Yeah.
was curious if that will affect that.
Yep.
Man.
And you didn't, for the sake of those watching at home, if you wouldn't mind just identifying yourself. I think we all know who you are, but,
Yeah, I'm Jenna Lee Leonard. I ran for school board.
and
Yeah.
you're South Berwick, yes? South
What's
Berwick.
that?
You're from South Berwick.
I am from South
Yes,
Berwick.
Thank you.
Okay, and what is the goal that you guys have in mind in order to drop the mask mandates and stop trying to coerce people to get vaccinations? Do you have a
suspect
goal
that
number in
you-
mind?
Yeah, you'll talk about where we're going with that in your
Good.
update later as well.
Okay, have you taken any steps to prevent any slip-ups in case they should happen at the vaccine clinics you're having coming here on the 22nd?
Yeah. So,
I just feel like it's a serious situation, and,
Northern Light Health. is
Yes,
the one
Northern Light
putting
Health.
on the clinic. So the clinic is not being,
It's not run by the school,
By the
it's run by
school,
Northern
yes.
Light. It's run
so
by the
who's
healthcare
held
organization.
liable if there's any vaccine injuries or slip-ups? So it's not them, is it you?
Northern Light is the one responsible for the vaccination.
When you signed their consent form, I looked online, they said they are not liable, as well as the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine themselves. So I was curious about that. Let's see, what else we got here?
so if what you have, rather than comments for the board, is a list of questions, could you send us that list of questions?
Of
and we can
of course I will. I
and
just
we'll
think
get
it's
them
important.
answered for you?
Sure. I just have so many. I wish I could breathe, it'd be a lot easier. Do you all have your vaccination? Do your children have the vaccination?
I don't know that that question's appropriate.
This is not a question and answer period, this is a public comment, so
well,
it's not an opportunity to
Oh, I
ask
can't ask
people
questions?
about their private.
I can't ask questions? No?
You can ask questions.
Oh,
You
that's
have-
what I'm
you have
doing.
2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then, not necessarily those questions may not get answered, though.
But you just said I couldn't ask questions.
No,
I'm
never said that.
confused. Okay, so I can ask questions? No?
You-
I'm so
It is
confused.
inappropriate to ask personal medical questions of people.
But aren't you asking that of us and the students at the school?
If you had a specific comment you wanted to make that you wanted this board to hear and understand, we'd be more than happy to hear it. But frankly, it's not an opportunity for you to cross-examine the board.
Okay, well, you do it to us, but that's fine.
No, that's not true at all.
Fine. Does the Nuremberg Code, HIPAA, Civil Rights Act, Equality Act, and the Americans Disability Law cease to exist in the school?
No, so you already know the answer to that question.
No, I
think-
actually don't. I wouldn't be wearing this right
All
now.
I'm going to ask you to step away from the microphone at this time. This
But
is not,
I choose not to wear this, by the way. For the Disability Act, I have anxiety, and I shouldn't be forced to wear this. So, look
Well,
into
okay,
that as
so-
well, and I will send you the questions.
thank you for your comments.
So, I'm not allowed to ask questions, so I do want to understand that. Let's be clear.
We're well past the 3-minute boundary here, so
Okay.
thank you for your comments.
You're welcome. I'll be back.
which were not comments, but were questions.
Okay, that moves us into the report of the secretary. May I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of our last meeting?
I motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. I'll second, Lisa.
Lisa, thank you. Any comments or questions? I had one. I noticed on page 2, report of the chair, number 3, in about what looks like the third or so sentence, it starts with the words policy committee, and then I think that next word is supposed to be negotiations. It says negations.
Yep.
So we should probably fix that. I think that's the only thing I found, in an otherwise sterling set of minutes.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor? That is 6-0. Thank you very much. That brings us to the report of the chair. I have 2 items I wanted to mention tonight. The first being that we did have our monthly town officials meeting on the 10th of November. We had John and Ryan, as well as Jen from here. Jen Janelle, the interim town manager of South Berwick, and Mike Sullivan, the new town manager of Elliott. We had a great conversation. Jen, you were there. Did you want to run through your notes on that, or?
Sure, feel free to add. Yep, so first off, we met Mike Sullivan, who's the new town manager in Elliott. And then both towns did a COVID update. Mr. Caverly did a COVID update, talked about the vaccination mandate, and the meeting was going to happen to get clarification around that. Jen Janelle from South Berwick told us that they've hired a new town manager, Tim Pellerin, and toward the end of the meeting, we were supposed to meet him, but we had technical issues at the very end, so we didn't get to meet him, but hopefully next time. They swore in 2 new town councilors in South Berwick, and something about a crosswalk on Route 4 that I can't read my writing. Also, Jen talked at length about the traffic study that was done outside the high school here. So that was done on the 14th, and I think we all thought that it would show for sure, oh, we need a light here. But actually, quite the opposite. It actually showed that it didn't qualify for a light, and not even, we thought like, oh, it's probably just by the skin of our teeth, but quite significantly, like it wasn't even close to any of the, meeting any of the things that would qualify for a light. So they're going to continue with the police to monitor the situation there and entertaining other options. We talked about possibly could the speed limit be lowered there, but then it gets all muddy with the Maine DOT. So there's more work to be done there, still keeping it on the table. And a light is going to be coming at the 236 and 91 intersection in the spring, and hoping maybe that might sort of slow some of the speed and congestion that's there. So, and then in Elliott, talked about, the biggest thing was talked about the after-school program, the community service department, wondering about a server upgrade at Elliott Elementary, and could the community service department potentially connect through the school server? So there'll be some more talk about that, but that wasn't anything they were looking for a decision on or anything at the time. And then Mr. Cavalier talked about that he had met with the police chiefs in both towns, and just mentioned that the collaboration with the town, police, and schools has really come a long way. It was going well. And just sort of discussed that we would be excited to meet the South Berwick town manager. And that was about it. Anything I missed?
That was good. That's
Okay.
everything I had in my notes. Is there anything else?
No, that was,
Okay,
it was an electric crosswalk with the flashing lights.
Okay.
Is what they were wanting to install.
And
Okay,
it's at the corner of Agamenticus and Goodwin, I believe, is what I wrote down. Yeah,
okay.
good. Thank you for that. Okay, and just prior to this meeting, we had a workshop with the Rollinsford School Board. You're all aware, I'm sure, that Rollinsford tuitions their 7th graders through 12th graders into our district. We had a very, very good session with them, talking about communications, which are generally excellent, but we've uncovered a few holes, and we're going to work to patch those. We talked about snow day procedures specifically. In the past, Rollinsford has aligned itself with the Somersworth district. They're going to look into aligning with our district for their grammar school as well as for ours. So that's something that they're looking into. And we had a general discussion about services. They're currently a separate SAU, but they contract sort of district-level services from SAU 56, which is Somersworth, and they're looking to understand whether there might be some services that they could obtain from our district. Not a big rush on that, but we're going to start looking into that and see if that produces any fruit that's mutually beneficial to the two districts. Otherwise, I think both boards were in agreement that the partnership is going really well, and very, very pleased with how that's going and continues to go. Anybody, if you were all there, did I miss anything?
Nope.
Okay, excellent. Good. Awesome. Okay, that completes the report of the chair and brings us to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to give a brief COVID update. The rate of new cases at Elliott Elementary School has seemed slow, which is a positive. We are still experiencing cases across the district. across York County. As probably many of you saw, that today was the highest, or yesterday was the highest day on record of new positive cases. So we are continuing to be vigilant in what we're doing with our remediation strategies. Also, just continue to educate people on pool testing. There continues to be questions, particularly those kids that are involved in after-school activities. They don't understand necessarily on how the universal masking works, as well as how the pool testing works and how the vaccination works. And obviously, those are all CDC recommendations, so we're going to continue to have those conversations and just make sure that people are informed. As you know, we recently had our junior-senior prom, kind of a little bit of combination of both in November. And so really one of the things that I think we were successful was that we had a lot of our coaches and our drama director kind of saying to kids, here's the reality of what it means to go to the prom. Here's the chance that we all have to take as far as being close contacts. And so that was very helpful, but just again, to try to reiterate and re-communicate with people those processes. The other part is that we had a meeting with the superintendents in York County on Friday, and again, the question seems to be, continuing to be to the CDC is what does the end game look like? What does this look like when, we start to take away the mitigation strategies that we have in place, and just trying to get some clarity. Is it a percentage of people that are vaccinated? Is it, similar to what the model that Massachusetts followed? We're eagerly waiting to hear that. I think that that's one of the issues that we're really struggling with right now, is just to try to find out, like, what does this look like? What does we're over the hill look like with the CDC, and we're trying to get some clarity around that. Any questions? I'm sure those are some of the same questions that all of you get on a regular basis as well. That kind of leads into an interesting last week and a half with winter athletics. For those of you who may have seen the article in the paper, the Maine Principals Association had initially recommended that any student athlete that was going to wrestle was going to be required to have a vaccine. And so that was a huge change in philosophy. There was an article in the paper about it. There was considerable pushback, and they've kind of now changed that into wrestlers will be masked when they wrestle, and so they've kind of moved away from it, but it obviously was, there's information out there with winter athletics, which is kind of a little bit contrary to what we've done in the past. We are working as the York County superintendents to kind of come up with universal guidelines for every school in York County, just so we have clarity amongst ourselves. It appears that everything will be in place that we would have in the fall. For example, volleyball this past fall wore masks indoors when they played. We would hold that steady as we went forward, and spectators would be required to wear masks in our facilities as well. And that is following the MPA guidelines for that. So we just received those this afternoon. Mr. Buzzell will have an opportunity to kind of review all of that. It is kind of last minute, as athletics for the winter start on Monday, obviously moving vastly indoors from the outdoors in the fall. So there will be some slight changes. One of the issues that a lot of schools are facing is just the serving of refreshments at games. A lot of schools are just kind of not doing that this year because of the pandemic. So just one of those minor things that's out there. One of the concerns is that if you go to some school districts in more of the northern part of the state where they may not have the same mandates that other school districts have, but just having that consistency for students, not trying to put those in the difficult spots. And so we'll continue to work on that, and then also voice those concerns to the Athletic Directors Association. So it's a little bit all over the place, but I would expect that the winter to look very similar to the fall in that respect. Questions?
I'm sorry, are they, just to back up, you said that across the state, we're hoping to have some consistency for this?
Well, across the county, we definitely have. So we're working with York County and Cumberland County. I'm not so sure that there's some leagues that may have a different approach. And so some people may be requiring masks, other people may not be. Some people may be requiring people to be pool tested, other people may not be. And so we're just trying to make sure that we're consistent with what we're doing in our county, and also following the guidance that we've been provided by the CDC.
Yes.
Sure.
So.
Got it.
Wrestling is kind of the curveball, because I think, obviously the moment that there's contact, there's transmission. And so that's kind of one of the issues that the CDC has kind of said from Jump Street. It's 6 feet, but if there's contact, then they're considered a close contact. And so, there is inherent risk. And so I think that's, they were looking at the vaccine. I think it was a wise move to not only move off the vaccine, but, with the masks, they went back to the masks. So the idea was to have the vaccine with no masks, which just, I think people struggled with, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, so then now they've gone back to just, traditional wearing the masks with the headgear, which is one of the initial concerns, because if you've ever been to a wrestling match, it is difficult to wear the headgear and then obviously have a mask on with it as well. So The only people, my understanding, as I briefly read it this afternoon, who would not be impacted would be swimmers when they're in the pool, and it would be skiers when they're outside skiing. Everybody else would be expected to wear a mask.
Could we get a copy of those
Yep.
just released guidelines sent to us via email? Thank you.
Yeah, I think that, yes, absolutely.
And I'm sure they'll be up on the website as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you might not know the answer to this, but if any of these teams go outside for a practice,
they would not have to
They
wear a
wouldn't have
mask.
to wear
It would be the
masks
same,
outside.
same rules that we would have,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Yep,
Okay.
yep. Yeah, and that would fall back to our SOP that we already have in place.
Yep,
So we
okay.
would just continue to follow that.
Okay.
Number 3, the OSHA Emergency Temporary Standard on COVID-19 vaccination. This was the law that President Biden passed. That this has been challenged in the 5th District Court. OSHA has kind of come out today and said put a hold on everything. We are seeking legal guidance to kind of figure out what our next steps need to be. And so there's some dates coming up. And so what we may do is just to ask teachers to voluntarily share if their vaccination status, just so we have that on file to be able to save time. There is some concerns around December 4th, I believe, is the day that this goes into effect, and then the testing would need to begin on January 4th. And so that's kind of one of the curveballs that are out there right now, so we're just trying to work through our attorneys to be able to figure out the best course of action. One of the bigger issues that we're facing is that those people who are not vaccinated and choose to be tested, what testing counts, I guess is the best way to say it. And so OSHA guidelines say that pooled testing does count as a metric to be able to meet that standard of being weekly tested. Speaking with the Maine Department of Education, it's not clear that they're going to allow that test to be used for that purpose. And so if the Maine DOE does not allow that to be used, then we would have to find another way to test employees on a weekly basis, or they would have to find a way to get themselves tested on a weekly basis. And so we're waiting some clarity on that. So there's a little bit of a snafu with that. If pool testing were allowed to be used, obviously that would make things much easier. And our hope is that they would allow that. Would only make sense.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things that we're kind of waiting on right now to get some clarity. So we're kind of in a holding pattern. We're just trying to get ourselves best prepared. There are some significant fines in place if you do not comply with the law. And so, you're hearing on one hand, we need to cease and desist, not, put this on kind of the back burner for a little while, but then we're also hearing that, December 4th, I believe, the deadline is still intact. And so trying to find a way to be able to navigate those two things and where we fall. So ideally is to put ourselves in the best situation to be able to react accordingly. So.
Right.
Questions? Okay.
I just keep shaking my head.
Yep.
So crazy,
Yep.
all of it.
And that concludes my report. I turn it over to the student report. Hello, Annabelle.
No.
Evening. Trevor is on the way. I will be doing the sports tonight, we decided.
Good.
He wanted to take the other half. So he's not here, I was gonna do a big thing, but boys soccer are state champs. Yay, Trevor.
Hey, Trevor.
Football won the regionals last weekend, and they will be going to the state championship game this Saturday at Fitzpatrick Stadium. The girls cross-country team and Braden Butler competed at New England's in Vermont this weekend and ranked 21st. So it's amazing that they made it to New England's. The upcoming winter sports will include boys and girls basketball, indoor track, wrestling, hockey, ski team, and swimming. Boys and girls volleyball clinics are currently taking place, and as for clubs and other extracurricular activities available after school to students, there's art club, yearbook, GSA, civil rights team, computer science club, French club, Latin clubs, American Sign Language club, and Pokemon club. Some more clubs will be coming out at the after Thanksgiving break. I believe Dungeons and Dragons Club is starting up soon, along with, they're trying to get board games clubs back too. So the more I find out about that, the more clubs I will have to report on. But yeah, your book is in full swing. That is a big report.
Thanks, Annabelle.
Are you on your book, Anna?
I am the editor-in-chief
I
of
was
the
gonna
yearbook.
say, you sounded very proud.
Yes,
So we'll expect bi-weekly updates on
Yes.
the yearbook then.
Looking forward
yes. I can kind of do Trevor's. He does have his report, but the biggest part of the other side was student gov met with Mr. Scully yesterday. Trevor and I were sitting in on that. We discussed. Oh, here he is. Let's go, state champ.
He does, he even runs like a state champ. Look at him.
Just in time. Yep.
Hi, Trevor.
Congratulations, Trevor.
Congrats.
Also, Lisa, congratulations on being reelected.
Oh, thank you very much.
Have you gone?
Yes,
Yeah. So, what did you say?
Just starting yours.
I was just starting yours.
Just
yeah.
starting? Okay, perfect. So this morning, student gov, it was me, Annabelle, and who's the third?
Addie Fuller.
Met with Mr. Scully. We discussed some initiatives that student gov has been creating for the past couple of weeks now. It include MEF grants and things like art murals, possibly changing the Thursday 9 p.m. Sports
Yeah.
time, and then included also possibly having like a wellness hawk block, something like that. And then this past Wednesday, prom happened at the Sheridan. It went pretty well. No problems. Went fairly well. And then students are working on the wellness hawk block, which is possibly. Wait, what did I say? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, and then National Honor Society is electing officers, and the deadline is like December.
10th at 3 p.m.
Okay, that's all.
Trevor, so you met with Mr. Scully about, and you said 3 initiatives that you had to, with student
It's
government?
5 in total, but it's mostly grouped into 3 because 2 of them are kind of like long term.
Can you say what those are again? I'm sorry, I didn't.
So it's mural art, and then that's like 1 in general, and then it goes like wellness hawk block, and then
The
3.
time change for Thursday mornings,
yes,
that's a big one.
This is
and
the-
then also-
the 9 o'clock rule we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
and then also the finding a vegetarian/vegan option for school lunches.
Say that one more time for me?
Finding a vegetarian/vegan option for school lunches.
That one we're going to try chipping away at quickly because there's a easy change that can be made just by, because they're salads, but all of them include a form of meat. So just packaging the meat separately is a big step that we want to try and take like soon.
Great idea.
Yeah.
So I don't understand, what's 9 o'clock mean?
So practically for sports, you have to be at school by 9 p.m. from Monday through Friday, including Thursday. And since Thursday's a late start and it starts at 9, if you show up at like 9:01, which is technically 1 minute like past the normal date, you can't go to sports activities.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, our bus doesn't even come to our house until like 8:35.
Yeah, and that applies for the rest of the week too, when it's not a late start. So it's just like, why not change it to 10? That's our big,
Just
yeah.
on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Because it's not an issue, because it's 2 hours later on every day.
Yeah,
except
the bus doesn't get to the school
Yeah,
at 9.
and if a bus is late, that's different altogether.
Oh.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's more, so if students come to school late on their own.
Oh.
Later
than the bus.
Later than the bus, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
And what about hot block?
That's all.
we are going to be working with Choose to Be Healthy in hopes of getting a hawk block
Great.
down for the start of 2022, and it will be focused around students' mental health. Lauren Cruz was named the liaison for mental health for Student Gov, so she will be fronting that kind of for us, and it's just a big initiative to talk about mental health and.
And Lauren's joining the wellness
The
committee?
wellness
Correct,
committee,
that's what I
yes.
thought. Okay,
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
exciting.
That sounds great.
That's cool.
awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And that concludes my report.
Great
Thank you.
updates.
We've had no correspondence received. That brings us to the report of the committees. Finance and Facilities would ordinarily have met prior to this meeting, but we set that time aside for the workshop that I mentioned previously with the Rollinsford Board, so that next meeting will be in the second meeting slot of December. We'll catch up on 2 months' worth of stuff. Ed Policy, last meeting was, I'm actually not clear.
We met today.
You did meet today, excellent, okay. Anybody want to speak to that?
There was some, report that I got was that the things that we discussed today, we were going to be bringing forward at the next,
Yeah.
the December 1st meeting, so,
A lot of it's like some minor language changes in a few things that hadn't been reviewed recently.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And this is all tied to the bylaws, the approval of
there
the
it is.
change in the bylaws. So
okay.
This is kind of, that'll be the next wave that
Oh,
comes
okay.
through.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
we'll
we
look-
also got some good clarifying news. Teresa reached out to Maine School Management in that if we review a policy and there's no changes necessary, we can just write on that review on this date. We do not need to bring it in front of the board.
Okay,
For reading.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
So for a
good.
meeting, so just for clarity.
Yeah.
that will help in a few places. Okay, thank you. And then the third committee, of course, is the Wellness and Social Emotional Learning Committee.
We meet on the 1st.
Next meeting will be December 1st, so nothing new to report on tonight.
Correct.
And we do have that one advisory committee going with regard to upgrading the board portion of our district website. Heather, did you want to give a real
Oh.
quick update on that?
Yes, we're moving right along. We have a nice draft going, and we are starting to build out content and explanations. So, yes,
Thank you.
moving along.
Great.
Heather's
Question?
done a ton of work. I just want to commend her on that. It's a big job.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay.
Thank you. That's good.
Yes, for sure, thank you. Okay, that concludes the committee reports and brings us to new business. We have a bunch of second readings from our last meeting. Can I have a motion, please, with regard to JLFA?
I move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy JLFA, Child Sexual Abuse Prevention and Response.
Second, Heather?
Thank you, Heather. Nothing has changed since our last meeting, am I correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Good. Any comments or questions? All in favor? That is 6-0. Lisa, you did put your
Yep.
hand?
Yes, I
Okay,
did,
6-0, thank you.
And it seemed as though it worked out well to be able to access the second readings online. People were able to access. This was the first time that we were doing that, so it just, as I touched around,
Excellent.
so it
I
seemed like it
I
worked.
didn't even miss
Very
to
good.
look. Yeah, that's awesome.
May I have a motion, please, with regard to JLFA-R?
I move to approve the second reading and discussion of policy JLFA-R, Child Sexual Abuse Prevention and Response Procedure.
I'll second, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Same remark, no changes since last meeting. Comments or questions? All in favor? That is 6-0, thank you very much. Motion, please, with regard to JLFA-E.
Move to approve the second reading and discussion of policy JLFA-E, suspected child sexual abuse report form.
Second, Jen?
Thank you, Jen. Comments or questions? No changes from last time. Okay, all in favor? That is 6-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to JLF.
I move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy JLF, reporting child abuse and neglect.
Second, Heather?
Heather, thank you. Same, no changes since last meeting. Any comments or questions? All in favor? That is also 6-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to JLF-R.
I move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy JLF-R, Suspected Child Abuse and Neglect Report Form.
Second, Jen?
Thank you, Jen. Again, no changes. All in favor? 6-0, thank you very much. JLF-E.
I move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy JLF-E, Suspected Child Abuse and Neglect Report Form.
Second, Heather?
Thank you, Heather. Similar, no changes. Comments or questions? All in favor? That is 6-0, thank you. IHBAA.
I move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy IHBAA, referral and general education interventions.
Second, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. Again, no changes since last meeting. Comments or questions? All in favor? We're gonna hold on that vote for a moment.
Wait 1 minute.
Lisa, did you have a question?
I'm sorry, I don't know if we could go back to it, but I'm just reading a sentence that doesn't make sense.
Which part?
Well, we're crossing this off, so we're reading it through like that, right?
Likely to be abused or neglected as required by law or board policy to report it.
Okay, so this is, so this is in the second paragraph above A.
But this is the JLF-R, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I thought I read it, and then I voted, and then I'm like, wait a minute. And I went back to it, I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
This was a good catch, yep. So above A,
JLF-R?
yeah, where it says, remember we changed, it says the board policy to report it, and then we listed out all of these things, but we changed it to, for example, any school employee, but it doesn't read correctly. So it reads, or board policy to report it, for example, any school employee,
Included
here, but not limited to.
To report it to any school employee
Included here, yes.
such as,
I think I need to take a motion to modify. All right,
Sorry.
we've already approved this as a
Sorry,
second
I
reading.
know, yeah.
And-
I will entertain a motion to modify it.
And counselor is also not, that was something we picked up last time as well, counselor, school counselors,
oh,
not
right,
spelled
and
correctly.
that wasn't, that's right, we did pick that up last time, that wasn't corrected, okay. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's all right, it's a good
No,
catch.
it's a good catch,
Yeah.
yep.
Can I have a motion to modify?
Yeah, I motion to modify the second reading and discussion of policy JLF-R, suspected child abuse and neglect report form.
I'll second, Jen.
Okay. So specifically, Lisa, did you want to go ahead and
Yeah, it was a good
list the
catch.
specific modifications?
I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to say. I'm not sure, not being in the conversation. I think it's supposed to say, and is required by law or board policy to report it to any school employee, or report it to, I don't know what that's supposed to say.
Yeah, I suspect that if we take the words "for example" out and just replace them with the word "to,"
To any school employee included here. Where's here?
Yeah, because they crossed out such as
Right.
teacher, principal, guidance counselor, or
Yeah.
bus driver. Probably should just add that back in.
Such as, we should add back
Such
in.
as, right,
Mm-hmm.
such as.
Such as any school employee
instead of
included here, but not
here.
limited to a principal, teacher, nurse.
Such as, yeah. And then counselor is misspelled.
So basically, we're going to reinstate such as, and then,
And what's here, for example. Such as a teacher.
I think we need to have a,
Get rid of
there
for
needs to be
example.
like a comma or something after. The notifying person refers to any any employee of the school unit who has the information that gives rise to the reasonable suspicion that a child has been or is likely to be abused or neglected, and is required by law or board policy to report it, such as, so we want to list the people that have the duty to report,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
yeah,
To
that's right.
report it, okay.
Comma, such as,
Such as, got it,
And get rid of, for example.
yeah.
And it's redundant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's it.
nice catch.
So you need to take a vote on the new change.
so the motion is to modify to make the changes we just talked about. Any further comment or question?
So
All
we
in
can
favor?
do that, we can approve something, and then we can also make a motion to modify it on the spot,
Yep.
okay.
All in favor? 6-0. Thank you, that's fixed. Thank you, great catch.
Good catch, yep.
And we're back to IHBA
We're back to IHBAA. And we have a motion on the table to approve.
Move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy IHBAA.
Wait, no, we already did.
Oh,
We actually have a motion on the table.
oh, I'm sorry.
Has it been?
I'll second then.
Then I was second.
I had
So we were
Kate making the motion and Jen seconding it.
Yep.
Clearly I was distracted. I'm just gonna butt out.
Yeah, so now we need to vote.
Voting on it.
Yeah, we were to the point of voting on it.
Comments,
Okay.
questions? Yep.
Okay. Let me look real quick this time.
This one looks good to me.
There needs to be a space between special and services in the last text paragraph.
Okay,
The fourth paragraph, right?
yes,
Hold on.
What am I looking at?
We're on dash R, correct?
Okay.
we are
No,
not
no, no,
currently
no,
on
sure.
Dash R. We're on IHBAA.
Heck are we? Okay, yeah. There's just like,
Mhm.
no biggie.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor? That is 6-0, thank you very much. That brings us to IHB.
Dash R.
This says BA, so when we read the motion, please make it IHBAA dash R. May I have a motion?
Approve the second reading and discussion of policy IHBAA-R, referral procedures and general education intervention.
I'll second, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
You also need a space in the first paragraph between special and services.
That's that same cut and paste error.
The second paragraph,
Yep.
right in the.
Yep, right at the bottom of the second paragraph.
There's
Oh,
two
and also the
places
bottom of
actually at
the-
bottom as well.
Yeah, fifth paragraph. At the bottom, the section referrals by staff. Same cut and paste.
Oh.
Got it.
That's two.
So on the second to last paragraph,
In the back.
on the back page, where it says, the last sentence of that paragraph, school unit's name. Do we want to insert school unit's name, or should it read like that?
Should be MS 8035.
Yeah. That was on one of the other ones, too. We need to do that. And we have the same spacing issue on the couple of places.
Yeah.
Yep.
The special services, yeah.
Yeah. It's in a few places. That's just something to note for
Yep.
typing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cut and paste is not always your friend.
No.
Okay? Other questions, comments? All in favor? That is 6-0, thank you. IHBAC, please.
I move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy IHBAC, child find.
Second, Heather?
Heather, thank you. No changes from last time? Comments or questions? All in favor? That is 6-0, thank you. And the last bit of new business is AD. This is the second reading on the policy that is basically, that stems from our recently adopted mission statement. That's correct.
I move we approve the second reading and discussion of policy AD, educational philosophy mission.
I'll second, Jen.
Jen, thank you very much. Again, no changes from last time.
Spacing's a little bit weird on that last bullet, but that's just super nitpicky.
Say it again, Jen?
The
The
spa-
spacing on the
Yeah,
last
but
bullet
that's-
is,
yeah.
That
It's just
on the front
happens to
page.
me sometimes, I don't.
completely
Fix it.
nitpicky. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if it's just,
I've
Because
had
it's in
that
bullets
same
or what?
issue, and I haven't been able to correct it. It's
Okay.
weird. I don't know what that is.
Maybe it was like
It's in format.
format,
Yeah.
format, yeah.
justification thing.
it causes you to emphasize each of those words in your.
That's
as you
right.
read
It
it.
does do that, too.
Yes.
That would slow me down speaking, though. That would be good for me.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor? That is 6-0. Very good. We have a quick building, no, we don't. We're gonna skip the building administrator check-in tonight in favor of getting the kids who need to do their technical dress up here on stage for Matilda. That concludes our business. May I have a motion, please, to enter into executive session?
I move that we enter into executive session.
If you wouldn't mind reading the entire motion, it's important that it be recorded.
Okay, I move that we enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's contract negotiations pursuant to Title I MRSA 4056D.
And Sue, you seconded?
Yep.
All in favor? That is 6-0. We are in executive session. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.